How the 12 steps helps get you from 3D to 4D. Keeps you focused on the now instead of the past or the future. This disempowers the veil of amnesia. You stop blaming and shaming and start living a more loving life. Encourages a relationship with a higher power of your own choosing. You heal wounds in your light body and become less available to demonic attachments. You learn to be accountable and responsible. You become more assertive and less manipulative and controlling. Chaos in your life stops and your life becomes more peaceful. You learn how to deal with problems that you couldn't fix before. Last night I went to the beach with my neighbors. He started a conversation with another alcoholic and I heard all the same things I've been hearing from alcoholic drug-addicted men since I was a teenager. He has a man cave. He's well endowed, the sexiest man on earth apparently. Women want him, they can't stop themselves, he's so desirable. He's either got the fastest car or he deserves to have the fastest car. He's the busiest man, can do way more than any other man. No, what these people are is delusional, high on a drug that allows them to create a grandiose vision of themselves that nobody can meet up to. This places them so high on a self-created pedestal that allows them to believe that everyone else is scum and can never meet their self-serving image of themselves. These people have developed a perfect language that allows themselves to recognize each other in public and allows them to feel more comfortable in public because at least there's this other, good guy, a tough, hard worker like I am, out there to validate their delusional idea of what a man is. Being a good man has nothing to do with that. The reason I know is because of Ivo, who's done a lot to restore my life to sanity. People talk now about virtue signaling, behaving in a certain way as to allow others to see them as virtuous, a good person. Well, this is boozer signaling, allowing others who will come to their aid and support them to see them. When everyone else is critical of the alcoholic, puts the alcoholic down and withdraws their love from the alcoholic, another alcoholic will always support a brother. Actually, it's pathetic. Booze does the same thing to the mind that cocaine does, boosts false self-esteem to the point the person becomes unbearable to others and drives the alcoholic to drink in order to keep up the delusion he or she has about themselves. Because women drink too. Who knows what they tell themselves? Meanwhile the alcoholic is acting on these false delusions he/she has about themselves and wreaking havoc in the lives of people around them. If they let them. Children learn to be like them and the cycle of abuse repeats itself generation after generation. The entire rock and roll scene is made up of these types of delusional people. Talented artists are turned into money-making pawns by moguls in the establishment and they're fed booze and drugs, using it to cope with a lifestyle that doesn't fit true human needs by any stretch of the imagination, and then there are those people, the public, that emulate their lifestyles. This is how the DS poisoned the hippie movement back in the 60s and got us to where we are now, by destroying human values in the name of entertainment and then feeding us the drugs that would seal our fate. Always be careful of any entertainment that's provided to us by the establishment, it's very toxic. Go out and make your own fun your own way. Just for fun, go out for the day or night without booze. Alcohol often helps break the ice between people who don't know how to actually socialize. The other thing, don't allow complaining about problems. Leave the victim at home. Nobody will know what to talk about, seriously. I believe that society is shifting from Judeo-Christian type values to addicted values. I see more and more people enacting this grandiose way of living and others around them that buy into it, thinking these people to be cool or the one you want to be seen with. We have to become aware of what's going on here. This is yet another lie that's been created for us to live. Yes, I believe there is a false archetype of the addict that's been created for us in this false matrix timeline, put up there for us to act out just like the true archetypes we choose to live through before we're born. We are encouraged to see grandiose phonies as people of merit, whereas real values like kindness, compassion, and generosity often are ridiculed. What in the hell is wrong with us? The 12 steps can break you away from all of that. It can help you to see reality more clearly and learn how to identify and meet your true needs, well, that is to say to the extent that living in our Western society actually can meet them, and I'd say this Western society is an artificial reproduction which takes away the power of a true human and enslaves said human to it through finance and human need. This is a material society. The 12 Steps is a spiritual program which reflects more accurately the true nature of a human being. Yesterday, the alcoholic again neglected to bring towels for his family. I had two. One of mine was picked up and used. I said, "That's mine," and took it back. Nasty, aren't I? No, I'm not enabling that family's dysfunction. If he forgot towels, you're not using mine either. Next time remember to bring towels. Who forgets to bring towels to the beach, yet he's done it twice. I can tell this family is headed to the brink. For those of us who have been brought up in secular society, I've seen this repeated over and over and over throughout my lifetime. I'm not saying that being raised Christian is a way to escape becoming addicted, I know it's not. But those of us in secular society, having few values taught to them at all, will just grow up and enact what's already there. For me, when I was a teenager there were bars. And apparently they were the cool place to hang out. You went to movies, bars, and snuck drinks with your friends. Buying a bottle for you and your friends and not getting carded was a badge of honor. Trying to look older than the drinking age was something you endeavored to do. I believe society is a society of addicts and it's here we all have to start. What we were trying to do as teenagers was emulate adult behavior. Incredible, isn't it? For those people who live with alcoholics, there is Al-Anon, and this program teaches you how to live in peace with someone so potentially disruptive. A towel is nothing compared to some of the things a drunk can get up to, I don't have to remind you of that. Bill Wilson, the founder of AA, had a white light experience. This isn't widely known or people don't care because they don't know what it is. But this program was conceived by this desperate man who, along with his doctor who was also a die-hard alcoholic, decided the way to stay sober was to try to convince other alcoholics to stop drinking. This is service to others, folks, and it's a fourth-dimensional precept. Alcoholics Anonymous was the original program, but it's been copied by so many other groups of addicts who wanted to achieve sanity in their lives as well. They became service to others oriented instead of service to self, which is the hallmark of an addict, any addict. They tried to help other people and this started to give them some relief from their drinking. Why? Because it raised their vibration. Even putting on coffee at meetings and setting up literature were ways of helping if you didn't want to or couldn't sponsor. 12-step programs work on the principles of the law of one to help people recover from the negative polarity of duality, a place many have found themselves in now. The steps themselves first of all admit powerlessness over the addiction. The next step is to bring in the concept of a higher power into the addict's life because many addicts forsake the idea of a God and make themselves the God in their own lives. The next step was the declaration to make God or a higher power our guide in life. We're not a slave to God, but God will now work with us because we allow Him to. The other thing, if you prefer a feminine God, that's fine too. It's totally up to you, you design your own program foundation. Again, like they keep saying, if you want higher intervention in your life you have to ask for help, and this is what this is about. We stop being the God in our own life. The next steps then are about looking at our wrongs. Looking at what hurt us, where we'd hurt others. I first came up with almost a book of inventory sheets and my sponsor, who I was to read it to, looked wide-eyed and asked, "Is that 10-point type?" Yes, it would be a long day. But God bless her, she listened. I had to admit where I'd played a part in every debacle I'd ever encountered. And it worked. It started to change my life. I spoke of what I was angry at, I admitted to God and my sponsor where I had gone wrong. The lessons I hadn't learned were now being revealed to me with the solution to these problems as well. Then I apologized for the harm I'd done to others, even to my parents. I apologized for the role I'd played in my chaos with them. They took it the way any narcissist would. They saw it as all my fault and that they could further blame me for everything that ever had gone wrong since I was born. I left them soon afterwards, realizing that they would never change. I knew I wanted them to be different and admitting they would never change was hard, but as soon as I did, I walked away and stopped playing their games. Not everyone chooses to do that. Some choose to have compassion for these people and to tolerate their craziness, but I couldn't do it without losing my recovery, so I didn't. They were still too much for me. Doing this inventory work helped me avoid attracting these consequences into my life again. I had created the same situations over and over throughout my adult life to that point. But doing this inventory work on my own without involving anyone else helped me to clear up the karma I would have had to work through otherwise. My life became less hellish. The 12 steps is about doing your shadow work. The 12 steps recognizes universal law, especially the repetition of patterns in one's life until you learn to deal with them with love. Universal law of cause and effect, universal law of attraction, even universal law of correspondence, as above, so below, as within, so without. And yes, the lower mental mind is above the physical body. I had a lot to learn since then, but I have changed a lot. I believe, like Reiki, The 12 steps is a spiritual gift given to us by either ETS or masters. That's why Bill Wilson had the white light experience. The 12 steps take you out of the 3D and into service to others, which is 4D. All the steps talk about is connecting with a higher power, looking at your fear, anger, hatred, whatever, and seeing the part you played in getting yourself to that point, and then helping others to do the same. It's ingenious, I think, and frankly it saved my life. Do I still use it? Yes, I do. But I have far less reason to do an inventory now than I did 20 years ago. My life is more peaceful. I'm always service to others, always. And I have used other modalities to deal with negative energy, such as removal of it from my auric field, the violet flame, and so forth. However, I am very cautious about stepping back into dysfunction again, as you know. I know where I came from and I'm not going back there again. I believe the 12 steps helps to reprogram people who have been programmed by negative forces to be extremely dysfunctional, narcissistic, grandiose, or the opposite, those people who suffer from low self-esteem who could or may not be self-harming, those people who use any number of behaviors to create havoc in their own lives, from food to shopping. Yes, if you don't think that overspending is an addiction that creates havoc, next time the bill collectors come calling, remember what I said. I've had to give up many habits. I gave up materialism for a life of spiritual comfort. The 12 steps is what started it all.